Thank you so much. I've been listening to you for 14 years. And my life, so amazing. And I'm so thankful for you.
Yeah. What we're good at is helping you hook up to your own guidance.
Yeah. And anytime I feel shame or whatever it is that's going on, I put your CD in and it just lifts me.
Resonance.
It's resonance. It's like what everybody's been talking about. And now where I'm at is, how do I release the past?
Oh, you're really going to like this.
Oh, good. How do I let it go? And the shame behind it.
Well, you're making it harder every minute.
Okay.
Here's how it works, and this is the perfect timing to have this conversation. We've been talking about influence, and we've been talking about alignment, and we've been talking about the receptive mode. We're talking about you getting tuned in, tapped in, turned on. We're talking about you accomplishing the point of view that your inner being holds. So let's say you lived something some time ago before you were aware of that, and blah, blah, blah. But now, here you are, understanding how the laws of the universe work, having a greater grasp of who you are, and now, more often than not, tuned in to your pure positive energy, so that you're more and more seeing the world, seeing your world through the eyes of Source. So now you've found that new vibrational vantage point, and you're really in sync, let's say, in this moment in time with your inner being. And something comes up that causes you to have a conversation about or focus back on something that happened in previous time. Only you're doing it in your powerful now, in alignment with your powerful Source. And so as you observe it or as you reconsider it, you're doing it from this vantage point, and you literally, we are not kidding, are changing the past, because everything is perceptual anyway. Everything is perceptual. So when you perceive your past from the standpoint of your inner being, who understands the value of every part of it, who understands what it caused you to put into your vortex, who understands that it was part of the reason that you came, who understands everything about it, and who loves unequivocally and only, of course it's going to change the past. And you know when you've changed your past when you feel different about your past. Esther was walking through the back on her way, and a very nice man escorted her. And they've been in this hotel years before, but they haven't been here for a while. And so it's been a while since they've been here. And in Esther's quest to let them know that she was all right back there, she was saying she thinks she's so clever. We think so too, but she really thought she was being clever. She's saying, oh, right there used to be a wall of baskets. It's not there anymore. Oh, over here, there used to be ducks hanging by their neck. Oh, it was lunch. It was all right. And, oh, and the floor is red now. It used to be brown. She's wanting to reassure them that she knows her way around back here, and she really does not need a cumbersome escort. And then the man who greeted her and walked her through this morning said, what happened to that man who used to walk through with you? And Esther said, he died. And then she laughed at herself. She thought, I could have said that in a kinder way. But since there's no painful attachment to the subject, and the way he asked the question, he didn't say, what happened to him? Oh, he died. And he was shocked and said, oh, I'm so sorry. And Esther said, don't be. And then Esther thought, he probably thinks I didn't like him very much. I really liked him a lot. But it's okay. In other words, the past is so changed. The past is changed. There was a time when that would have put her into a fit of tears, and she would have had a hard time getting herself ready for you. Just that conversation would have made her disconnected. It would have taken her a little while to recover from that. But this time there was no recovery necessary, because the past is changed. You see? That's the most dramatic example we could give you. See? That's the most dramatic example we could give you. Something more?
Yeah. How do I motivate my daughter?
By listening to her words. Her words that say, leave me alone. Her words that say, let me live my own life. Her words that say, this is none of your business. You teach through the clarity of your example. And so you don't want to motivate her anyway. You want her to get in the receiving mode so that she can be inspired. So you just be inspired as much as you can when you're around her. And when you're trying to motivate yourself, say to her, oh, I forgot, this doesn't work. I'm trying to motivate myself. Or when you're in a bad mood, say, I'm in a bad mood. I'm going to go away and get in a good mood. And when I am, I'll come back. Through the clarity of your example. Because if we took your questions seriously, and we gave you manipulative tactics so that you could evoke more from her that is pleasing to you, which we would never do, we would be encouraging you to encourage her away from her own guidance. And that's what's happened to so many people, is that they've replaced their relationship with their inner being with their mother or with someone up close to them. And a parent who can accomplish that often really thinks in their humanness, oh, I'm a really good mother because I'm able to get my daughter to behave the way she needs to behave. But you're depriving her of her own contrast, of her own vortex, of her own calling, of her own alignment, of her own turning her own thoughts to things. She wants to live her own life, and she wants to do it on her terms. And you want her to. And what's in your way is that you're still living that old past where you think, oh, I need to protect her from all of those things that could go wrong. Well, this is a different time, and she's a different person, and you're in a different place, and your influence with her is much different than any influence that was ever around you. The past has already changed so dramatically. There will be no repetition of anything like that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
There will be no repetition of anything like that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay, one last thing. I was cooking dinner, and I was listening to you, and you were talking about how Jerry loved 555, and when I looked at the clock, it was 5:55, just so you know.
So that's what we call timing. We so appreciate the introduction of that here, because this is a very fine and important point that we want to make. When things like that happen to Esther, and Esther goes, wow, we say, child's play. But just the same, you were a cooperative component in order to allow that timing to happen. One day, Jerry and Esther were driving one of the monster buses out across Omaha, out on those highways. And they had found a book in a bookstore of someone that they enjoyed seeing on television. And so Jerry bought the book because he liked to read to Esther while she drove. And Esther liked it too. And so Jerry's reading the book, and then he would be very silent, and Esther would say, why are you quiet? And Jerry would say, it's so vile I can't read it out loud. There were just parts of it that were, but in this book was a story inside a story inside a story. It was a very convoluted book, but here was the story in the book. These people were going to a village, and they wanted to prove their spirituality. And it was the known fact around this place that if you were bitten by the black mambo snake and you survived, you were a very spiritual person. And so many people had now been bitten by this black mambo snake that his venom was not as powerful as it once was. So every year fewer people died. But still, they were using it as their status, if you could survive that. And at the moment that Jerry read those words to Esther, an 18-wheeler passed them, and on the back of it was a picture of a black mambo snake and the words black mambo beneath it. Esther nearly went crazy. She just thought, if the universe can do that. One day, Esther was driving the monster bus and Jerry was driving the tow car because they were only traveling a short distance, and so they decided it wasn't worth hooking it all up. They would just drive the two vehicles separately. And so Esther has stopped at a red light, and she looked down at her odometer, and it said 8,888 miles, 0.8. 88888. 5 eights lined up. Well, now, Jerry and Esther never wanted to spend any time apart from one another, and so they were always in contact, and Esther had her walkie-talkie, and Jerry had his walkie-talkie, so that they could be in constant conversation everywhere they were going. And Esther said, Jerry, you are not going to believe it. My odometer says 8888888, and he began to laugh because his said 77777. How can such a thing happen? How many extra turns did you make? How big, wide extra turns did you make? How could this possibly happen? Could the human mind even begin to calculate such a thing? No. So the human mind wants to call it freaky or fluky or accidental, but it isn't. There is precision in everything. And when you start observing it, when you start believing it, when you start knowing it, when you start living it, when you start letting the universe show you how well it knows you, how well it knows you, how well it knows what you want, when you allow your inner being to play with you in these ways, you begin to feel invincible. You begin to know that there is nothing that you could not be or do or have if you wanted it. You begin to know that the entire universe is working in concert with you, and all along you've been the only thing out of step. And now you know what to do to get back in step. And as you do, that evidence of that kind of thing will just come to you all day, every day, until you will feel like that blessed being that you are, like that powerful creator who you are. Yes?
Yes. Thank you so
Yes, indeed.
much. I love you.